What's up, YouTube? Doomlink here, back with another modern video on the channel. As always, before we continue, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the video. We are now over 2,000 subscribers on the channel, so huge thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. I've been trying to upload as much content as possible for all of you, and I hope y'all are enjoying it. So, today, as you can see here, we have more Modern Horizons 2 stuff. This is another one of the Asmarena Marta something something decks that have been popping up as of late. And this is kind of a little bit of a new take on it. So, I have been playing these decks a lot. I've cast a lot of that card over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, ever since Modern Horizons 2 came out. Whenever, like, I wasn't completely sold on it when I first saw it in the spoiler season, but the more I play with it, the more I realize that it's just a card advantage machine. You know, 1 mana for the amount of value that you get out of it. On top of the fact that it's just randomly a 3/3, kind of beats down a little bit Precious Planeswalkers. But I didn't quite really understand the full power level and potential of that card until I started casting it. And when you're playing with that card, it's just, if your opponent is playing a deck that is reliant on like a sort of a somewhat fair strategy reliant on creatures, there's just almost nothing they can do. They can't keep up with the food generation if you have Cookbook plus Daredevil going, and it kind of just mows down all of your opponent's creatures. So you have to be doing something very unique to sort of circumvent the ability on it. So there's a lot going on here, so let me kind of start with the main engine of the deck. So for those of you who don't know, this is the card in question. It's obviously in the top right, there's no mana cost. It's a 3/3. However, as long as you've discarded a card, you can pay a red or a black mana to cast it. So as long as you can fulfill the requirement, it's a 1 mana 3/3. When it comes into play, you get a Cookbook, put it into your hand. I'll show you Cookbook in a second. And then the third ability, sacrifice 2 foods. Target creature deals 6 damage to itself. So it's a 1 mana 3/3. Get something, kill stuff. A lot of text, a lot to love with this particular card. So the Cookbook, this is the card that it goes and fetches. So it's a 1 mana artifact. Tap, discard a card, make a food. Last ability doesn't come up too often, but it does come up from time to time. So basically, if you draw a Cookbook, you can discard a card to fulfill the discard requirement in order to play this card. And then you can also get more Cookbooks. So it's essentially you play this, discard a card, play this, get another Cookbook, play this, make some more food. So you get a lot of food generation there, and then the food, the more food you get, the better. The more triggers you get, more activations you get out of this card. So it kind of all works itself together. Now, the Cookbook by itself wouldn't be the best card because you have to trade resources from your hand in order to get food, and then you would eventually run out of resources. However, another way to circumvent that, Oval Chase Daredevil, 4 copies. So this is a creature. You're not rarely ever casting it. It does come up very infrequently, but whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. So, play Cookbook, discard Daredevil. Daredevil goes to the graveyard, make a food. Food triggers Daredevil, brings it back to your hand. So now you have discarded a card, got it back. So you've essentially lost no resources, and you're up a free food. Now, might not seem like the most insane thing. Well, it's just a food, but the more free food you have, the more activations you get out of Asmo, and we also have more ways to utilize extra food lying around. Another new card here, 4 copies of Thought Monitor. So this is 7 mana for a 2/2, kind of expensive, but has affinity for artifacts. So every artifact you have in play makes it cost 1 less mana. So, back to the food generation. If you're making 1 free food a turn, potentially 2 if you have 2 Cookbooks with Daredevil, you're essentially making 2 free food a turn. You can cast this thing pretty easily. So, 2/2 flyer, ETB, draw 2 cards. So, if you have 6 artifacts, 1 mana for a 2/2 flying that draws 2 cards, kind of helps you churn through your deck. And the other thing that you can do is we have Emery, Lurker of the Loch, another card that kind of pays you off for having a bunch of artifacts in play because it costs 1 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you mill 4 cards. You could tap it, choose an artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast it this turn. So when you mill over Thought Monitors, you can then cast the Thought Monitor with Emery. You probably have a bunch of leftover artifacts because, again, we're still making a bunch of food. So it kind of all works itself together there. Also, another cool thing that comes up, as I mentioned in the last video with this deck, if you have enough extra food lying around, you can activate Asmo's ability, target Thought Monitor. Thought Monitor goes to the graveyard. Tap Emery, recast the Thought Monitor. Essentially turn your 2 foods into 2 cards that way. Now, the rest of the deck, we have Urza, Lord High Artificer. So this is a card that we played in the last version of this deck, the blue-red version that I recorded a video with on the channel a few days back. We have less copies of Urza. The more I play with these decks, the more... Like, I understand that Urza is an incredibly powerful card, and it's very good when you have a bunch of extra random artifacts lying around. Again, all kind of circles back to this. But it does cost 4 mana, which is a pretty big investment, and it is kind of clunky at times. So we're only electing to play 2 copies here. You have enough ways to churn through your deck with Thought Monitor, Bauble plus Emery, so you can draw a bunch of extra cards that way. Also Street Wraith just to cycle, and Thoughtcast to draw more cards. So you have a lot of ways to cycle and churn through your deck that I don't think you need more than 2 copies. And drawing the second copy, especially early on in your opening hand or on turn 1 or turn 2, it can be almost a dead draw at that point. So we're only choosing to play 2 copies here. And then these cards here, Thoughtcast, sort of like the 5th copy of Thought Monitor. I would love to play more copies of Monitor, but they only allow you to play 4 copies. So we have a 5th copy of essentially 1 mana, draw 2 cards. Doesn't get the 2/2 body attached to it, but just more ways to churn through your deck. And then 4 copies of Street Wraith. Street Wraith might look a little odd here because we're not utilizing, we're not getting it back. Typically you see Street Wraith in Living End decks, or because Living End gets it back, or you see it in Death Shadow, who actively wants to pay 2 life and just lose more life to play out an early Death Shadow. We don't have any of that stuff with it. However, again, you need to discard a card in order to fulfill the requirement in order to cast Asmo. Street Wraith does that for 0 mana. So you can go turn 1, cycle Street Wraith, play your land, cast your 1 mana 3/3. Which is the only way that you can actually enable it on turn 1. So it is a very important card. Even though it doesn't look like it does all that much, it's still very important to play with Asmo. And another cool thing is because we're playing Mishra's Bauble to go with our Emrys, because Mishra's Bauble, powerful in combination with Emery, it's a 0 mana artifact, allows you to cast Emery cheap earlier. You can play 2 Baubles and an Emery on turn 1. But also the cool thing is we're playing some fetch lands too. So imagine a scenario which typically you see with Death Shadow where they go turn 1, play a Bauble, target myself, see if the card's good. If it's good, cycle Street Wraith, keep it. If not, fetch, then cycle Street Wraith, give you some more looks there. It's kind of like a scry. So Bauble with fetch lands is pretty good, also in combination with Street Wraith. And then the rest of our deck, just to kind of round everything out, we have some minimal amount of interaction here. 2 copies of Metallic Rebuke, another card that's pretty potent when you're playing, putting a bunch of cheap artifacts into play or free artifacts with Cookbook. Just some good 1 mana interaction, kind of a good catch-all. And then 1 copy of Bone Shards, just as an extra way to discard a card to turn on your Asmo to be able to cast it to fulfill the discard requirement. And just, again, a nice catch-all. Kills Teferis, kills Dothy Voidwalkers, a lot of problematic cards. So I don't mind the first copy of Bone Shards. And then we have 4 cards over here that are sort of, our tutor targets for Urza Saga. Because, obviously, we are an Urza Saga deck. Why wouldn't we? That card's great. 1 copy of Aether Spellbomb, something that I've been very happy with in all of the Asmo Saga decks that I've been playing over the past couple of days. Just really good because you also have Emery that you can loop it with. So something you can do is you can, let's say, get Aether Spellbomb, you can bounce your own Thought Monitor, replay it, draw 2 cards, Emery, replay the Spellbomb, kind of churn through your deck that way. Also, just bouncing your opponent's creature, good against large creatures like Primeval Titan, good against the Rhinos deck, because they make a bunch of Rhino tokens. You can just, Spellbomb, bounce a token, replay Spellbomb, bounce a token. So there's just a lot of utility out of this, and, I mean, at the worst, it draws a card, so it's not too bad. 1 copy of Shadow Spear, very, very, very important card when you're playing with Urza Saga, because a common play pattern is Urza Saga, 2nd chapter, make a giant construct, 3rd chapter, tap the Saga for a mana, sacrifice the Saga, go get Shadow Spear, equip your giant construct. So you already, the Urza Saga gives you a giant thing to be able to get that giant life swing in with Shadow Spear, and then the turn after finds the Shadow Spear. So very, very important card to be playing in your Urza Saga decks. I would highly recommend 1 copy if you were playing with Urza Saga. I would not leave home without it. Springleaf Drum, which is kind of a new addition here. This one wasn't in my early versions of Urza Saga decks, but the more I play with it, the more I've come to appreciate it. It's just a nice little boost of mana, again, because you get the token off of the Saga. So the Saga dies the next turn. You already have a creature in play to tap to the Springleaf Drum. So kind of a nice little boost of mana if you need that. And then one copy of Mox Amber. It's sort of like an additional Springleaf Drum, but only works when you have a legend in play. It's not the most efficient card because we don't have a bunch of cheap legends. However, it is another 0 mana artifact for Emry, which can be important to be able to cast it early on. And, I don't know, just sort of an additional mana boost when you need that. Then the mana base, there's nothing too fancy here. Again, Urza Saga, if you've been playing Modern and all for the past 2 weeks, you've heard all the buzz around this card. I won't go too much into detail with it, but basically it's an enchantment land, comes into play, gets the first chapter adds for a mana, then the next turn it goes to chapter 2, you can tap it, make a construct, and then chapter 3. The most important thing with Urza Saga, if you haven't played with it before, you get to make 2 constructs out of it, because on the second chapter it activates, you then tap 2 mana, make a construct, then you untap, and then your draw step, it goes to the third chapter, you respond to the third chapter, make a second construct. So that's kind of an important trick with Urza Saga, but just an incredibly powerful card. A land that generates 2 giant attackers and tutors for, one of your various tutor targets. Just an incredibly powerful card. The only notable other thing with the mana base, again, we got some Darksteel Shores, some fetch lands, some Watery Graves, pretty basic stuff. 1 copy of Darksteel Citadel. I know that you can't get this with Urza Saga, but I just wanted an additional cheap artifact because we're playing with 4 copies of Thought Monitor and a Thoughtcast and Emry, so that the extra sort of cheap or free artifact definitely comes up. Obviously, you lose some percentage points because it's an extra colorless land when you have a bunch of colored cards in your hand, but it is worth it. It comes up often enough that I'm willing to play it. So that is the main deck, and then the sideboard we'll go over pretty briefly here. 3 copies of Aether Gust because I do think that Amulet Titan is one of your weaker matchups, and it is one of the more popular archetypes in the format, so we're choosing to play a lot of sideboard interaction for Amulet Titan, so we kind of go an Ashiok along with that, so that's kind of our sideboard package against Amulet. Mystical Dispute for your control decks of the world, and if for some reason people are still playing them, even though control has largely gotten pushed out of the format with Urza Saga. But yeah, it's also just good against like Niv Mizzet if people play that. I'd bring it in against the Rhinos deck because they have a decent number of blue interactive spells. So there's just a decent number of spots where Dispute comes up, and 1 mana counterspell is pretty good. 2 copies of Thoughtseize, combo decks, like Amulet, Rhinos, Living End, stuff like that. Just, again, pretty versatile catch-all card. Fatal Push for the aggressive matchups like Prowess. I do think Prowess it could be one of the more weaker matchups. It very depends on how often you have Asmo, because Asmo can mow all their creatures down, but if you don't draw Asmo, your deck is a little clunky against them. So you may end up wanting a 3rd copy of Fatal Push. And then 2 copies of Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas. So this is kind of our way to circumvent the general hate that people sideboarding it in against us. Things like Stony Silence, Rest in Peace, Collector Oof, Kataki War's Wage. So a lot of people have Leyline of the Void. A lot of people have a heavy amount of sideboard cards for these food decks. So if you're playing a food deck, one of the most important things is to have a good plan B when people bring in those hate cards. Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas happens to be a very powerful planeswalker. It is expensive, so I could definitely see maybe 1 less copy of this. But I want to try out 2 today. The list that I copied from my friend Kane only had 1 copy of this, but I wanted to go ahead and try out the 2nd copy because I think it is quite powerful. But it's just a way to sidestep the hate. You can +1, look at the top 5, put an artifact in your hand, -1, make an artifact at 5/5, and then -4, they lose X, you gain X, where X is twice the number of artifacts you control. So I guess the ultimate's not very good against Kataki and Stony Silence, or Kataki specifically, but just being able to, make something into a 5/5 through that type of typical artifact hate is pretty important. We have some additional 1 of tutor targets to get with our Urza Saga when we need them. Nihil Spellbomb for the graveyard decks, Pithing Needle for Teferi, Engineered Explosives, a plethora of things. Needle comes in a lot of spots. And we have our own copy of Explosives. Again, I know that you cannot tutor this with Urza Saga. However, I don't mind having the first copy because we are an Emry deck. Some decks have a very hard time beating Emry with Explosives looped. I think, like Death Shadow and things of that nature. And it's also just somewhat decent in Urza Saga mirrors. You can set up board states where maybe you trade off some constructs and maybe you're in a spot where you can E on one and it's beneficial. There's just a bunch of spots where E comes up. It's good against prowess, things like that. So I don't mind having the first copy, especially with Emery. So that is the deck list that we're going to be playing today. I hope you enjoyed the deck tech, and I will see you back in just a little bit for round number one. Alrighty, YouTube, we are back here for round number one of our league with blue, black, Asmo. I guess we'll call it that. Alright, sizing looks good. What do we have? Opponent's Luris. I got a cookbook. I got a Saga. I do have two Street Wraiths. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. I think what I'm going to do is just go Darkslick Shore's Cookbook on turn one and not cycle Street Wraiths quite yet, because I want to see what they're doing. Like, whether I cycle Street Wraith, I'm still almost 100% of the time going to play Cookbook on turn one regardless. Alright, I'll let them take a Street Wraith. Normally you wouldn't want to cycle Street Wraith end of turn, but if I find Daredevil, I might as well cycle end of turn because it allows me to find an additional... it just gets me a free food, so... Normally I wouldn't recommend cycling here, but... yeah, I don't mind generating food. I have enough lands. Just kind of get a free food here, because we're not doing anything else with all these lands. Notably, they can't cast Scourge this turn because we're at 18. If they play it, I can just sack a food and go to 21. So, Scourge of the Skyclaves, not the best against a deck that generates a ton of food. Worth noting. Do I want to make another food? I can wait on the second food. I do have a bunch of lands. The only reason I wanted to make the first one is because if I find Asmo, I want to play Asmo with a food already in play. As opposed to, I guess even if I didn't make a food, I could just discard food, Asmo, play Asmo, make another food. But I think doing it this way is fine. Sprite Dragon. Okay. Wonder if they have a Fatal Push. Red. Lightning Bolt. Alright, so... I will go to 15, and then 13. But then we're going to make a Saga and attack them for a lot, so... Alright, so end step, we'll make a Saga. Discard Daredevil, get it back. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're going to go to 2 here. Because I can just get another Cookbook. Could also get an Aether Spell Bomb. We have 4 cards. I guess getting an Aether Spellbomb plays around Temur Battle Rage. That's probably one of the only ways I can lose this game. So let's do that. Just fetch now. We'll attack for 7, put them to 3. So if I got a second Cookbook, I could have discarded the Daredevil to generate an extra food, which will put them to 2. But it's only 1 more damage there, so... But now we have 2 lethal attackers, we have a bounce spell for a blocker. If they go for a TBR, we also have the spell bomb, so... I feel like it's going to be pretty tough for them to get out of this. Drown in the lock. Alright, 1 construct down. Do they have another removal spell? Even if they do, I just bounce this. Then I'm still at 12. It's kind of okay. What's this? Alright, another drown. It's fine. I'm just gonna bounce it now, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna end up doing it anyways. Just get a big tempo swing here. Play an Emery. Mill over some cards. Play a Flooded Strand. Pass turn. Could generate some more food. We can start sacrificing food just to gain some life, to maybe get us out of Scourge of the Skyclaves range. They have the Sprite Dragon, that's fine. Let's see if they also have another removal spell. Channeler. So it looks like they don't. Alright, discard Daredevil. Get it back. I'm just gonna fetch now. And I'll gain some life. Why not? Okay, so we have 4 food. This is 5 artifacts, or 5 artifacts total. We'll go get back the spell bomb. This is our 6th artifact, which makes this cost 1 mana. Yeah, this game's over. Game was kind of already over, but I don't need to play the other cookbook here because I can still just kill both their things. Yeah, they are off it. Okay, game 2. So Grixis, what appears to be Grixis Shadow, could just be the Grixis Lurus deck. Maybe no Shadow, maybe no Delver. Unclear. I would assume Death Shadow, but Fatal Push Explosives, good against them, good against whether they're Shadow or not Shadow. I'm not a huge fan of Dispute and Thoughtseize. The reason I'm not a huge fan of like that kind of disruption against opposing Thoughtseizes. I also am not a huge fan of Rebuke for the same reason. And I tend to cut a Street Wraith, trim a Street Wraith whenever I'm playing against an aggressive deck. I think everything else makes sense. I don't want the Spell Bomb or the Needle. I like the blue Spell Bomb, the Shadow Spear. I like all the draw spells because it gets us out of Thoughtseizes. Like if they rip our hand apart, we draw one of these cards. I want to keep most of those in my deck. I could trim an Urza because it is kind of clunky, and they could have a fast start to punish me having Urza. I don't know what I would play instead though. Maybe a Rebuke, maybe a Gust. I'm gonna do it like this though. Maybe I want 1 Rebuke on the draw instead of the second Urza. I feel like these games really never come down to Urza. Let's do that. Just be a little bit leaner. These games mostly just come down to construct tokens and Asmo. Urza rarely ever makes its way into the equation. You just don't have a lot of time for it, mostly. So this hand doesn't do a ton, but we have explosives, a Street Wraith to redraw, and a Saga. Alright. I'm going to keep it. It's like somewhat functional, and my opponent is playing a Thoughtseize deck, so I tend to favor keeping hands that are even remotely functional against specifically Thoughtseize. They have a Dragon's Rage Channeler. It's okay. Can live with that. Let's see what we find. That's a good draw. I'm just going to lead on Cookbook. Yeah. I want to lead on Cookbook for the same reason as last time, so I can go discard Daredevil, make a food. Then next turn I get 2 looks at an Asmo. Also, if I cycle now and hit Asmo, I don't want to play Asmo on turn 1 because I want to wait till I have 2 food in play. Like imagine a scenario where I go cycle Street Wraith, play Asmo, they kill Asmo before I get the opportunity to use it. I'm kind of not getting my maximum value out of my cards that way, so I would rather just make a food first and kind of just let them do whatever they want to do. Alright, let that resolve. I assume they're going to take the explosives? But they take Thought Monitor. Because if we explode on 1, it kills my Cookbook too, so... That is a consideration to playing explosives on 1, but then they would Thoughtseize the Cookbook, and I think that's a lot worse for me. Like, I think if I had to choose between one of them going away, I'd much rather keep the Cookbook. Because the Cookbook can just keep up with the Channeler 3 damage per turn anyways, so... Alright, they chose to take Monitor, which does make sense. And they're passing. Alright, I'll make a food. They have surgical. Yeah, I mean, it's annoying, but I don't really care too much. I guess I sort of do. They're down to 2 cards. They're going to be drawing another card off of the bubble, but if we find Asmo, we should be in really good shape. Let's cycle this first. Play Emery. Play Saga. We'll just pass. Again, if I'm generating food, I don't mind taking a few hits from this. Now they have to kill Emery because we have the Thought Monitor, so... If they don't kill Emery, I can just get it back. Or I can make a construct. Kind of have a million different options here. They're doing nothing? Huh. The question is, what am I doing with my turn? Pretty sure I'm just making a construct. So if that's the case, do I want to discard anything with the cookbook? I don't think so yet. I'm gonna wait on that. Okay. So now I can go... I think what I want to do is discard the explosives and then just Emery it back for x equals 0, with not with the intention of sacrificing it, just so I can have an extra artifact next turn for the cheap thought monitor. So let's go discard explosives, target explosives. No intention of casting it for x equals 1. I just want to make some giant Saga tokens. So now we can make a Saga, take 3, make a 5/5 so it's out of bolt range. They have to have a lot of drowns. Notably, they did not put Luris into their hand when they had access to 3 mana, so they probably have Drown here, if I had to guess. Because if they had Push, well, I feel like if they had Drown, they would have already killed the Emery. Maybe they think they can't afford to kill the Emery. Let's see what they have. Sprite, Dragon. Acceptable. They're also at 8. Worth noting. Just take 4. That's fine. Go to 8. We'll make a Saga token. I assume it's getting drowned. Not getting drowned main phase. Oh. They might regret that. So they're just dead? Right? 6, 7, 8. Hold up Rebuke. Guess they could have 2 Fatal Pushes? Do I want to play around 2 Fatal Pushes? Or like Fatal Push plus Rebuke? Because I can just, instead of making a construct, I can just float mana, let this go, get an artifact here, 6 artifacts, play Cookbook from hand, 7 artifacts, discard 8 artifacts. This is lethal with Rebuke up. I think I'm just going to do that. And I can even get Spellbomb as additional insurance. So if like something goes wrong, then I could just bounce this maybe. Alright, go to attacks. Yeah, they messed up. They done goofed. They probably should have cast that on their turn, but I guess they wanted to get the full value of the extra construct out of it. But even if they cast it on their turn, like, am I really winning with 1 extra construct versus 5 power in the air? I don't think so. So I think that was perhaps a misplay on their part. I'm not really sure. Maybe they wanted to get max value, but in any case, showcase the power of blue-black Asmo Urza. So I hope you enjoyed the games. I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 2. Alrighty, YouTube, back here for round number 2. We are on the draw. And I'm going to keep this hand. It is a little clunky. We have an Urza with no second blue. This hand, I think, is a hand that I probably will want to... Well, we'll see what we're draw / what we're playing against. But I might want to cycle Street Wraith on turn 1. Could be a mirror match of sorts. Let's see. Okay, let's cycle Street Wraith first, because I have the Cookbook to play Asmo next turn, even if I missed. Like, for example, if I drew Asmo, I would still just play Cookbook first anyways. So I think this is okay. I could probably safely discard Island End Step. So yeah, it looks like a mirror of sorts. Oh, never mind. They're playing Lantern. Looks like Lantern Control. Don't think this matchup is very good, but we shall see. The reason for that is Ensnaring Bridge. There's not a lot of recourse we have against Ensnaring Bridge. Let's just make a food now. Just to have more material in play. Okay, that's good. So now we can make some food. Can pass. I feel like this game's going to come down to whether or not they have Ensnaring Bridge. We have another Saga. Okay, well, now I do not feel good about this game. We also don't really have a good way to interact with Bridge. Like, we don't actually have a way to remove it from the battlefield in game one. So we might just be locked out. Yeah, I don't think we can actually win this game anymore. Rather than go through the motions of our opponent just taking some random game actions for the next few turns, I might just pack it in. See what we draw. I'm just going to take a look at the deck list after I take a draw and then see if I have any outs. Okay, Dark Slick Shores. Let's pull up the deck lists. I do not have a way to interact with Ensnaring Bridge in my main deck. So, I'm not going to waste my time. Game number 2. So, we're going to bring in the Tezzerets, because those kind of sidestep Ensnaring Bridge. Aether Gust, no. Dispute, no. Fatal Push, no. Thoughtseize, maybe. Ashiok is good. Explosives, maybe good? Bone Shard's definitely not good. We could keep in Rebuke as, like, our sort of hedge against Bridge. We definitely don't need the Shadow Spear. Our life total does not matter at all. I mean, shouldn't say at all because they have Saga, but our Saga tokens are much better than theirs almost all the time, so I don't think we need to worry too much about that. We just cut a Street Wraith. The question is, do I want to bring in the explosives or the Needle? So Needle can hit Codex Shredder. Can also hit their explosives. Maybe I just cut the Amber, bring in the Needle, and not bring in the explosives with the intention of almost always naming explosives with my Needle. That makes sense. This hand kind of doesn't do anything. We don't have any cheap artifacts. If this hand had a cookbook, it'd be insane, but I think I'm going to ship this. Okay, this is much, much better. What am I putting back? I think it's either Urza or Bauble. I want to keep the cookbook Daredevil stuff. I want to keep Emery. I want to keep both lands. So it's a question of, do I put back Bauble and just hope to flip something off of Emery and keep the payoff in Urza? I think I should do that because Urza is, I think, the highest upside with this hand. So I think I'm just going to put back the Bauble and just hope that I flip over something with Emery. Alright, we'll pass. Yeah, this matchup is kind of rough. This is definitely one of the matchups I did not want to play against. Alright, so we have an island on top. Cookbook. Do we want to... Well, I should probably keep the cookbook. Because it's at least something guaranteed to mill off of Emery and save the fetch land for later. Yeah. So there are spots where you want to hang on to your fetch land for as long as possible. Like here, I don't necessarily want to draw the swamp. Yeah, so I think I'm going to shuffle away the swamp this turn. But I didn't want to mill. I didn't want to shuffle away the cookbook because it is something to get back with Emery. Oh, okay. I spent so much time thinking about what I wanted to draw that I actually didn't look and see what the top card of their deck was, but they must be really digging. Was it not a land? Maybe it was a non-land and they kept the one-lander? I can't remember where the top card of their library was. So they have a Tezzeret on top, and I have a swamp. Or they just have a pile of lanterns. Okay. I would like to fetch. Okay. Interesting. It's not the best draw. Neither is that. Should have played the swamp because they knew about it, but. Okay. This might be one of those games. So they shuffled away the Tezzeret. They're drawing a Codex Shredder. So I kind of think they may not have lands. Try and make these the same size. Just kidding, they do have lands. Hold, please. Okay, my library, their library. Cool, they have a shredder. Really need to find something good. I mean, we have the Urza, but if they have a counter spell or a removal spell for the Urza, this could get kind of dicey. So we have one of our better payoffs here, but I guess we can also just cookbook back the Urza on a turn. Let's see what they're doing. It's another Urza. It's not too bad. Okie dokie. Have another Urza anyways. Alright, cast Urza. Joke's on you, opponent. And I'm gonna make some tokens here and just spin Urza main phase. Just to try and hit something good. Specifically something to get back with him like a bobble. Ooh. That's not bad. Play a Thoughtcast. Play a bobble. Bobble you. Cast bobble. Pass the turn. So we know they have a Tezzeret. I assume they're milling that, yeah. And they have a Spire of Industry. Let's see if they have a bridge. They have a bridge on top, but that's not till next turn. So maybe we can generate a lethal attack. Tezzeret is fine. So they're going to make Lantern a 5/5 so they can chump block the construct. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we did keep in the Aether Spellbomb, so that's something that we're looking for here. I have a Delta on top. I'm going to cycle the Bobble now just because I can always replay it with the Emery, and I just need to find something good. Alright, so draw the Delta off of that. Another Bobble is not great. Another Street Wraith is not great. So I think what I'm going to do this turn is fetch first, because I'm going to cast the other Emery to try and mill over the Aether Spellbomb to bounce this. But I want to make sure I want to get a fresh look, so I'm going to fetch first. I know I don't get to play Saga here, but I don't think the Saga's not going to matter. I don't think after once they have the bridge in play, because Saga doesn't tutor for an answer for bridge. Okay. Oh wait, can I just sack? I can just sack the cookbook to get back Asmo, can't I? Is that lethal? Am I short? So it's one less artifact. So I have to sack the cookbook. 15, 16. So that's -1. It's also minus more off the food. Right, because I can play the Asmo and I can get back Asmo with cookbook and kill the lantern. So much mana do I have? 6. This is tough. This is tough. I have 2 cards. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do it this way. Let's tap 4 food. Guess we can do 3 food in a Citadel. Get back Asmo. Then we can tap this, discard Daredevil, play Asmo, search for a cookbook, which is also 2 more artifacts. And then we can also get back something with Emery. I think we might have enough. We definitely have to kill this. That is 100% what we need to do. Okay, cast this. Get another cookbook. Okay. I don't know if we actually had lethal, so this was 12. This was going to get a cookbook. Play cookbook, that's 13 artifacts. Discard this, 14. Shoot this twice, that's 12 artifacts. Replay cookbook, 13. Discard 14. 15, 16, 17. I think I was still 3 artifacts short. Unless I, like, Urza spin into something, but okay. I guess they were just off it anyways. All right. There is some consideration to bring in the explosives, because I can generate a 3rd color of mana with Springleaf Drum and explosives for 3 to kill bridge. That is a consideration. That's something I might want to look towards. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cut into Street Wraith. Although Street Wraith is actually kind of pretty good if they go to Milieu. Like, let's say you have a good card on top. They go to activate Codex Shredder. You can Street Wraith in response to make them force them to sack the Lantern. But I don't know. I think I get more mileage out of the explosives. Try that. It's also another cheap artifact to go with Emery and Thought Monitor, so. Excuse me. Alright, game 3. Again, I do think this is kind of a bad matchup, so. We shall see. So I have a Rebuke, an Asmo that I can't turn on, a Daredevil with nothing to go with. I don't know if I love this hand. Rebuke is one of my better cards in the matchup. Just countering bridge is so huge. I think I'm gonna mulligan this though. It just doesn't do enough. This is unfortunate. This hand looks bad, and it is bad. However, the really nice thing about this hand is having Tezzeret in my opening hand, which means they can't ever mill it off of a Codex Shredder, so even if the game goes long, and we go into a point where they have a bridge and a bunch of stuff, I can just get Tezzeret into play. So I think I'm actually going to keep this hand and put back Asmo. I'm going to keep both 4-drops. This hand looks bad, and it is bad. Again, as I said, but... Pithing Needle. Probably name Cookbook. Urza. Also a reasonable name. Good thing I brought in the explosives. I'm going to save my fetches. For reasons stated, get last game. Saving fetches when they have Lantern in play. Just, you get to know your top guard, so fetching away is pretty relevant. Alright. I have a bobble on top, which is actually not bad. They have an Emery. They're drawing Thoughtseize. Just super duper awkward. And I have a Tezzeret on top. So this is interesting because I could go Bobble, Swamp, Emery, mill the Tezzeret, because obviously I have a second one in my hand. But they're drawing Thoughtseize, and they have the Urza covered with Needle, so if they Thoughtseize me, they're 100% taking Tezzeret anyways. So they might be in a spot where if I don't play the Emery this turn, they're basically forced to crack the Lanterns for me to mill the Tezzeret. And what I could also do is just play Bobble. Yeah, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to play Bobble, play Misty. I guess I could have sacked the Bobble main phase to draw the Tezzeret. But then they probably just take the Emery? Okay, that's fine. So I guess they're going to Thoughtseize me and then probably... So they're going to take Tezzeret and then crack a Lantern? Huh. Why would they do that before Thoughtseizing? Oh, because they can just replay it, sure. Are they not going to play Thoughtseize? Very interesting. They have to have a land here, right? Wow. Okay. So... I don't particularly want to draw the Daredevil right now. Don't want to draw that either. I'm going to cycle the Bobble. Yeah, try and find some more action. It's a tough matchup. Very, very tough matchup. Okay. They're letting me draw Thoughtcast. And there's a Bobble. Okay, now I'm just going to Slam Memory. So now they draw the land. They Thoughtseize the Tezzeret? Yeah. Oh, wow. They're just playing Bridge? That is really good for me. That is incredibly good for me. They don't know about the Urza in my hand. Oh, there's a Thought Monitor on top. I think I'm just going to uptick. I think I'm just going to uptick. So they're going to make... They're going to have themselves shuffle. Okay. Yeah, let's just uptick first. They're going to let me have the Thought Monitor. I'll put this one on the bottom first. And... I think I'm going to play the Bobble and just leave it in play. Because I have Thought Monitor and Thoughtcast in my hand. But knowing that... Did they shuffle away the Thoughtseize? I thought they kept the Thoughtseize. Maybe I played this game... Maybe I played this entire game thinking they kept the Thoughtseize when they actually shuffled it away. But I thought they kept it. Okay. That's fine. They get to sort of shut off my Emery with the Lantern. They have a Saga, which I think is also fine. Yeah. So they're probably going to hit the Thought Monitor. Oh, they hit Bobble. Okay. Oh, see, they did have the Thoughtseize. I knew they had the Thoughtseize. So I guess if they have a second Needle, they can Saga for a Needle on Tez? Is that what their plan is? Might be. Took Urza, which makes sense because even though it's shut off with Needle, it still generates mana. So it is important for them to do that. I'm going to leave the Bobble in play. That's really good for me. Might shuffle here. They didn't shuffle. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. I have an Asmo on top. I don't have a cookbook, though. So I can Thoughtcast for 4. Or I can play explosives on 0. And then play Thought Monitor? No, the Thought Monitor is never going to be able to attack because they have 1 card in hand. And they're just going to play Saga next turn. And I think I do want to draw the Asmo. So let's just Thoughtcast first. They let me draw it. Interesting. Play Bobble. Whatever, doesn't matter. Cast a Bobble. Play this. And could play out the explosives, just in case they have a second needle. That doesn't matter because I have the Emery, so. Or a second Thoughtseize is what I meant to say. So I think we're chilling. We're just going to pass for now. I possibly should have shuffled because I didn't want to draw the Asmo, and I'm going to shuffle away anyways, but now I want to draw the Needle, so I'll keep that. Do I want to draw Needle? What does Needle even do? Guess I could name Codex Shredder. Okay, I have a Lantern. Acceptable. This has been a weird game. Another bridge, that's fine. I don't particularly care about that. You're making me shuffle because the needle was on top? Okay. I think I'm going to leave the baubles in play. Just thinking. For a Thought Monitor? Yeah, I could just churn through my deck. Okay. Let's fetch, because I have to fetch in order to play the Thought Monitor. Let's just get this. Actually, that was bad. I should have left the island in my deck, because now I can't fetch for a black source. So, yeah, that was a huge mistake. Because this should have definitely been left in my deck. I could have also activated Tezzeret first, but I want to draw 2 cards to get more information on what I want to Tezzeret into. So let's plus. Take a drum. Get island. Play cookbook. Probably should have played drum there. And do I want to let them eat a bauble with Soul Guide? Yeah, I think that's fine. There's a water grave on top, right? Yeah. Oops. Sure. That is fine. I have a second bauble anyways. I don't particularly care about that. Alright, so they're drawing Watery Grave. And the best they can do is, I guess, replay the Lantern. But now I can just eat their Emery next turn. So I think worst case scenario is they get a Needle. They Needle Tezzeret, but then I could just E on 1. And then replay my stuff with Emery. I think we're good. I think we are good. We also only need 9 artifacts to kill them with Tezzeret, so we're not even that far away from that. They might just have lethal right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, yeah, we just have them dead. So Citadel, Monitor, yeah, they're just dead. So they have no cards. So I'm missing something. Drum. Explosives. Let me just make sure I counted right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, third, 18. Not missing anything. I think we are good. Tezzeret doing God's work in this matchup. So I think game 1 is close to unwinnable because your only way of winning is through combat, like with giant constructs and things. I mean, I guess technically you could deck them, but that's just not going to happen. But game 2, when you have access to this card, it's pretty good. So that was an interesting match. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 3. Alright, everybody, we are back here for round number 3. This hand looks a little sketchy, and it is, but we have Cookbook, Daredevil, and we have a redraw with Bauble, so I am going to keep. And even if we miss, we have a somewhat decent turn 2 play in Rebuke, so I think this is okay. I'd be much happier if we were on the play, because now we might get Thoughtseize. If we get Thoughtseize, this hand gets a lot worse. Uh-oh. Alright, Cookbook down. That's really bad for us. Hand get a lot worse now. Well, we can bubble trick ourselves with the fetch line, hopefully find another cookbook. We shall see. They're definitely taking cookbook, right? I can't imagine them taking any other card, yeah. Thoughtseize bug? Come on, Thoughtseize bug. I say it jokingly, but it is frequently a bug. Alright, we'll pass. Can instead bobble myself, look for another cookbook. Another Inquisition. Okay. Well, now they only have one choice. I wonder what they're playing. Fairy Seer. Okay. Ninjas, maybe? Actual fairies? Actual fairies in the 2-0 bracket, huh? Darksteel Citadel, no thanks. Cookbook? Cookbook. Something good. That is not good. Alright, we'll pass. I mean, I have an Urza potentially if I find land 4, but they almost, like, 100% of a counterspell, so... I guess I should see what they did with their Scry. They went bottom. Okay. Worth noting. They have 3 cards. Sure what they're up to over there. This is when they go Bitter Blossom. Alright, no ninjas. Just an attack for 1. I can live with that. It's not the best draw. I think I'm not going to fetch here because I kind of just don't mind drawing a land. And also saving fetch is better if I draw Bauble, because then I can bubble trick myself. Scion of Una, just actual fairies. Not excited. I am excited. Watch, I'm going to get misbind clicked now. I guarantee I'm getting misbind clicked. I'd be shocked if I wasn't. Nope, I didn't. Well, I'm going to play Urza. It's probably going to get countered. They can't spell Stutter Sprite it at least, so... But I have no other recourse, so... I got no other plays. Kind of a clunky hand. I mean, I guess I could play Daredevil, but Daredevil's not doing anything on this board anyway, so... Might as well go for the high upside play. Did not get countered. We take those. Probably getting pushed or dismembered then? Yeah, looks like push. So they push this, I get a 1-1. We take 3, go to 9. Next turn I can pay 4 mana for a Thoughtcast. Alright, Fatal Push. Dead. 1 card. What is it? It's not another Scion, because they would have just fetched an untap land. Alright, I'll take 3. That is fine. So now I can just play Thought Monitor? Yeah. And they probably will counter this. Because they didn't counter the Urza. I wonder if they had a counter spell and just saved it. Ooh. Oh, okay, okay, alright. Well, this blocks. If they attack with both, I might. Well, if they attack with this, I'll probably just trade. They obviously can't attack with this, but I think I don't mind trading. Aether Vial, acceptable. Seems like they're out of gas. Do I want to trade now? The problem with trading now is it makes Thoughtcast cost 1 more mana, so I think I'm just going to take 1 more hit and then perhaps trade next turn. So let's go Spell Bomb, Thoughtcast for 1 mana. Probably just in Hardcast 4/2 territory. Attack for 4, they go to 8, leave this back. 3, 4, 5. I could just attack with both. Honestly, attacking with both seems fine. Just get a little aggressive. Might be a little too aggressive, but we can fetch for a basic swamp, go to 6, and then they only have 3 damage. Even if they draw a Lord, they only have 5. So we're still not even dead to a Lord, which is why I kind of like this attack. Definitely not cycling Street Wraith. I guess I... Oh, I could have just cycled Street Wraith and played Asmo. That would have been a lot better. I don't know why I didn't do that. I guess that's worse if they have a counterspell. Okay. Now I guess I'm dead to a Lord. Yeah, okay, I messed that up. I should have cycled Street Wraith and then played Asmo. That was really dumb. I don't know why I didn't do that. Just kind of brain farted a little bit there. Alright, so we go to 2. But now if they have nothing, they're dead on board. Right, block here, take 6. Okay, well, I definitely should have got punished there, because I obviously should have just cycled and played Asmo. I don't know why I didn't do that. But I guess if I cycle and play Asmo, I only have 1 food in play, so I can't actually shoot anything. So maybe that play wasn't good. I don't know. Alright, fairies. What are we doing against fairies? Dispute seems good. Maybe Fatal Push. Probably explosives. Definitely don't want 4 mana cards or Ashiok. These are both bad. Definitely don't want Thoughtseize. Gust is bad. So it's just debating on whether I want push or not. Again, somewhat aggressive matchup. I don't mind trimming a Wraith. I think Rebuke. No, we'll keep the Rebuke. Don't need the Mox Amber. I'm going to keep the Shadow Spear for racing. I'm going to cut an Urza. It's just kind of clunky. And then it's just a question of do I want these Fatal Pushes. It's really only good against Scion of Una because the rest of their creatures just aren't really worth that much. But maybe I'd rather have it than Bone Shards because they kind of all kill the same amount of things, but Fatal Push is just more versatile being an instant. And then maybe cut the Thoughtcast for the second one in the draw. Yeah, I like that. Like, I don't think Fatal Push is that good against them, but Scion of Una seems like one of the more problematic cards, so I think it's okay. This hand has a Dispute and a Saga. It seems pretty hard for their deck to interact with Saga, so I think I'm down to keep this. Can also cycle on 1 looking for an Asmo. Like, as being blue-black, I don't even know what recourse they have against Saga. Could have Hercule's Recall. That's a card that definitely probably is in their sideboard. Now they know about the Dispute. They're probably just going to take it, because taking Spell Bomb... I guess they could take Spell Bomb, but it's pretty mediocre. Yeah. So we can cycle, look for Asmo. Well, didn't put him in our deck to not cycle. Did miss. Missed kind of hard. Alright. I got nothing. I got a Daredevil, but I'm gonna get it back off the Saga. They kept the one-lander. I like to see that. I don't know if I want to cycle the Spell Bomb quite yet. Maybe I do. Well, the thing about cycling now is I know for a fact I'm making a Saga token next turn, so there's really no reason to cycle here. Because it's not going to change my play. I'm still just making a Saga token. Like, no card I draw would change what I'm doing this turn, so. What are they revealing? Please reveal Bitter Blossom. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. So we get this back. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're one short on making a Thought Monitor here. But we're kind of far enough ahead where it should be fine. I'm going to fetch now so they can't, like, respond to my fetch. Okay, they've had enough. It appears that they did not have Hercule's Recall in their deck. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting game 1. Not so much interesting game 2. So, 3-0, that's cool. Hope you enjoy the games. I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 4. Alrighty, guys, back here for round number 4. We're 3-0. Let's see if we can keep it going. Hand looks pretty good to me. So the way that we're going to play this hand is I'm going to cast Bauble first before playing my land. We're looking for a Daredevil. If the card's good, like a Daredevil, I can play Darkslick Shore's Cookbook. If the card's bad, I can shuffle it away. All that good stuff. Opponent mulls to 6. That's the Daredevil! It's even equally sick, because I get to draw the Daredevil and then make a free food on their turn. So, we're doing it. Ooh, Thoughtseize. No Thoughtseize. Okay, let's get the Daredevil back. Because they shocked for a Blood Crypt, I think I'm just not going to play Asmo this turn. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. I'm going to save the Scalding Tarn, too. Reason I'm not playing Asmo, I guess I could have played Asmo and protected it with Rebukes, and maybe that was better. But I always want to try and hold this until they play a creature. Get max value out of it. But maybe drawing the Rebuke means I can afford to jam it there. And then if they go to kill it, I can just Rebuke the removal spell. I don't know, we'll see if we draw. I don't really want to spend Rebuke on a removal spell. You know what I mean? I'm willing to just let the Asmo die as long as I get some value out of it. Okay, well now I don't really care. No, I don't care if they kill it. I think I'll still leave up the Rebuke this turn, even if they kill it now. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. I'm just not going to counter it. No reason to fight over it when I have another one. Just play Cookbook and hold up Rebuke. Just generate some more game objects. Wonder what they're playing. Looks like maybe some sort of black-red mid-range deck? 3 mana. Are they doing anything? This one I might hang on to. Let's see what they do this turn. Black, black, black. Liliana of the Veil. Do I care? I guess I kind of do. Not directly, but I guess I kind of do. Maybe I don't. I'm not sure. It's close. I'd like to just draw an Urza. I guess I only have three mana to play Urza, but... Alright, they have 4 cards. We have a lot of game objects. Second Daredevil, kind of irrelevant. I'll draw a land, we start hardcasting these bad boys. Alright, play out the 4th Cookbook. Fast turn. I guess this is kind of annoying if they have another Liliana and they can just minus and make me sack, but... We'll find something to do with these food eventually. We do have four thought monitors and a thoughtcast to draw towards. Any of those would be an insane draw. Only 3 mana, so Urza's not really a good draw yet, at least. But it's like a Dreadbore, a Blood Moon. Sure. Means that I now can't cast Daredevil unless I draw Springleaf Drum. But it's going to be impossible for them to kill us. We got 10 food in play. We'll find something. Mox Amber would allow us to cast Daredevil, because Asmo is both black and red. It's a good draw. Hopefully we hit a Thought Monitor. We didn't, but we hit a Drum. We can also cycle Spell Bomb. So we're chilling. They're at 13. We have a Wall of Food. I assume this is a Bolt. Yeah, Bolt's fine. Black. Fatal Push? Sure. Alright. Do this. Yes. Might as well just start sacking some food now. We have enough of it. Okay, discard Daredevil. Make a bunch of food. Draw a land. We can also get back Emery or Asmo with Book. Alright, start sacking food. The food train. Alright, I'll take that. I don't have any books left to get, but... Don't have any books left to get. So I'll choose not to search. I have another bolt. I could have held that, but... Alright. Let's see how they're going to kill me through this wall of food. Magmatic Channeler. Card is somewhat problematic, but... Yeah, it's just going to be a long time before they can kill us. Okay, best turn. Might be better for them to start attacking with this. What do they got? They got a mountain and a blood moon. Already. You know what's awkward? We milled over the second basic island. But still cast Thought Monitor if we draw it, but we're kind of sort of out on casting Urza. Any chance we deck them just by making a bajillion food? Like, how can they realistically kill us? I don't know. I don't really know how they're going to kill us. We'll see. We shall see. Alright, go. I guess they can eventually find a basic swamp and a Liliana and maybe, like, sack half my food. I don't know. We'll see. Kind of just sitting here, not doing a lot. Seasoned Pyromancer. Okie dokie. Accept. I accept. What a weird game. We only have one Asmo left. Make some food. I could get back Asmo. Maybe I should be doing that. I probably should just be getting back Asmo here, right? Yeah, I don't know. Why didn't I do that last turn? I should have just done that last turn. I'm dumb. Alright, I drew a Thought Monitor. That's good. And a basic Swamp? Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do this last turn, but... because I'm just dumb. I forgot. The hidden mode, the flavor text on Cookbook. Because now I can just kill their channeler. Alright, kill it. I would not like to search. Your move, opponent. They have one guard. Black, red mana. Bolt. Nope. Daredevil. Alright, make some food. Attack first. We'll bury them in food, as it were. I think it's better to just play Thought Monitor than Emery that turn. And also just play one of these two. Alright, I think we got him. 22 food, not necessary. It's just like one of those situations where it was just going to be impossible for them to ever kill us, so. Not the channeler. Just get back into their Asmo, right? Just kill that thing. Which I probably will do. I don't see why not. Alright, they're off it. They've had enough. Surrounded and buried in food. Alright, red-black mid-range. Dispute's bad. Gust is okay against Blood Moon, so something I might want to look towards. Explosive's probably bad. Push is kind of okay against Channeler, but I don't know how much I care about Channeler. I don't want Thoughtseize. I probably want these Tezzerets. Ashiok seems kind of medium. Needle's okay against Liliana. Spellbomb is okay against Kroxa. So these are cards that I'm looking towards. I don't really think this is a racing situation, so I don't need Shadow Spear. Although, Shadow Spear giving Trample does allow constructs to attack past season Pyromancer tokens, so maybe that's relevant. But I feel like once we've gotten to that stage of the game, we're probably already winning, so I don't think you need it. I'm going to trim a Street Wraith, as I usually do. It's just usually the first card that comes out in a lot of matchups. I'm definitely not touching any of these cards. All my divinations are insane. I'm not huge on Rebuke against Thoughtseize decks in general. I don't mind cutting an Amber. And I think that's it. Let's bring in the Tez. I think I like the Tez's. And then maybe just the Gus. How much do I really care about Blood Moon in an average game? I guess I sort of do. It shuts off Saga, which is kind of annoying. That's the reason I would care about it, but maybe Rebuke is just better. Because Rebuke also tags Channeler and Kroxa. So maybe just like 2 Rebukes and a Nihil Spellbomb. Alright, let's just try it like this. I don't know. I just don't know how impactful Blood Moon is. As long as I fetch out a couple of basics early, it should be okay. Like, yeah, it shuts off Saga, and that's annoying, but I think we'll be okay. Alright, well, as I say that, this hand is kind of weak to Blood Moon. However, they're a Thoughtseize deck, and I have lands and spells, so I will keep. This is how I play against Thoughtseize decks. I just keep any hand that is remotely functioning. So, I want to end up getting 2 basics with these fetches. There's an Emery on top, which is a little awkward because I kind of want to draw it, but I also really want to play the Spellbomb first so I can Emery on 2. But if I go Shores, Spellbomb, fetch for basic island Emery, then they Blood Moon me before I get my second island into play. I think I'm still gonna. I think I'm still willing to take that line. This is gonna be really awkward if they have Blood Moon, but I'm even gonna slow roll the Urza Saga just to try and play around Blood Moon a little bit more. Normally, I would want to just slam. Oh, well. Maybe I won't do that then. No, it's actually better to play Saga now. Because I know that my Emery is likely dying next turn, so I want to just get value out of the Saga while I guaranteed can. because they can't Blood Moon me next turn because they miss a land drop. So I'm gonna at least get one construct out of this, even if they do have Blood Moon and draw 2 more lands, which is not even a guarantee at that point. So I think I like this line. Wonder what they kept. Had to have been a pretty good one-lander. Maybe it has Dothy Voidwalker. What's this? They're casting explosives on 1? Oh, I see. Okay, sure. Sure. I will just pass. And they can't even pop the explosives. This game should be over. Game and just get Needle at this point. Yeah, this game should be over. Once I Needle the explosives, they probably will scoop. Alright, make a construct. Get a Needle. Did I not bring in the Needle? I could have sworn I brought in the Needle. Oh, never mind. Alright, well, I guess we're still playing then. Sort of still playing. I put playing in quotation marks. Because we're kind of playing, but not really. Even if they draw a land here, they pop the 1 on 0, that just blows up this one. And then I just play Urza. Like, even if they draw a land here, they're still dead. Alright, get a basic. They're off it. Alright. I don't know, they kept the one-lander. I think matchups like this are generally pretty favorable anyways. Obviously, they kept the one-lander, so I'm going to say that. But it's just like, if you don't have Blood Moon on curve, I don't know. It's just super hard to interact for these decks to interact with Saga. So, anyways, we're 4-0. That's awesome. Let's see if we can get another trophy. We've had a lot of trophies on the channel yet. So, I hope you stay tuned for the last round, and I'll see you back just a little bit. YouTube, we're 4-0. It's round 5 time, and you know what that means. It is trophy time. Our opponent's an 80-card deck, which means they have Yorion. And this hand's really good. We'll keep it. Get to go Spellbomb, Bobble on 1. Probably just going to cycle the Bobble, because I have this in play to make the Emery cheaper anyways. So, well, should probably do this one first. Play Dark Slick Shores, play Aether Spellbomb. And we are off to the races. Let's see what type of Yorion deck they are. Ooh, Taxes. Taxes, pretty good matchup, for the most part. I've been happy with the Taxes matchup. Thought Monitor. Okay. So we get to go Cookbook, Emery, Bass. Might make a thing off the Cookbook. Oh, it's your Daredevil. Even better. So now next turn I can go tap Emery, get back Bobble, play Bobble, get back Daredevil, generate food off of this. And then we're just off to the races. Yeah, should be good. Should be good. Milling a Daredevil off of Emery feels so good. I guess they could play Athalia here. Stoneforge Mystic. Well, we have Spellbomb to cover that, so that is fine. Because they usually get Cauldra in this matchup, but Spellbomb very good against Cauldra. They have Solitude. Alright, kill Emery. That's not bad for them. Don't think I want to discard any of these cards to make a thing with Cookbook. Alright, so let's cast Bobble, get back Daredevil. Play this untapped. Let's just do this now. 19. Should have bubbled them in their upkeep, but not too bad. So we'll take 5. I wonder if they're going to leave it on defense. They might have to, because we're just going to crack back for a lot more. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I guess if they don't attack, I just Spellbomb it, which they're also in a bad spot, so it's probably bad no matter what they do. Do they just not have a land? Well, they have planes. Okay. So let's see what their next card is. The Skyclave Apparition, which should be pretty easily beatable. Get a thing. Notably, we milled over the Shadow Spear, which is one of the better ways that we can have to race this, but... I shouldn't play Urza here. 4, 5... Yeah, I think I'd rather just play Urza. No, I can just play Urza next turn. Yeah, so why don't we do this? Get the Springleaf Drum, so then I can play Thought Monitor and hold up the Spellbomb bounce on the Cauldron token. Yeah, I like that. So I can sack this for a basic. Play Thought Monitor, and then next turn we can just play Urza. I want to try and find an Emery, so I can loop the Aether Spellbomb. Alright, we'll attack for 8. It's a pretty good chunk. And this is kind of why I thought they maybe were supposed to leave this back. Could have even just played Cookbook there and not held up the Spellbomb for a turn, but I think this is also fine. I don't really see how they get out of this. This Urza Saga card is pretty good. A little birdie told me that Urza Saga was a good Magic card. It's a smart birdie. Like, they have Flicker Wisp and Skyclave. What are they even supposed to do? Like, Skyclave just doesn't even do anything. I mean, I guess, like, they kill Cookbook, but... This is rough. This is rough for them. They can't kill the Constructs with Skyclave. They can Flicker one, but then I just bounce the Germ token and they're in the Abyss. Because both the other Construct is still going to be lethal next turn, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, the Construct's going to be lethal. So they're in the Abyss, and we're going to have another Construct off of the Urza. Yeah, I don't really see how they get out of this. I think I'm just going to take 5 and end step bounce the Germ. Because if I bounce it in combat, they can just Flicker it. Like, if I bounce now, they just Flicker the Cauldron post-combat and have a blocker up, so I'd rather just wait on the Spellbomb. And this forces them to Flicker the Construct, which then still puts them in the Abyss. Yeah, it's fine. Except... Construct comes back. Just not going to use the Spellbomb yet. No reason to. Play Citadel... Play Urza. Go tap, discard Daredevil. Get Daredevil back. Tap food, play Cookbook. Tap Cookbook, discard Daredevil, get Daredevil back. Tap food, play Cookbook. Discard Daredevil, get Daredevil back, and then we can hold up a food activation and the Spellbomb bounce. So, I will attack with both. They are required to chump block the constructs. I could spin here, but I'd rather just hold up all my food. Like, if I just crack food for the rest of the game, I don't really see how they probably also can't beat that. But I just, like, gain 6 life a turn. This deck is busted. I mean, I think as long as you start with, 4 Asmo, 4 Saga, 4 Daredevil, the rest is kind of whatever. That is an aggressive attack. That is an aggressive attack. Alright, I will gain 3 life. Then I will take 8 damages. I will go to 3 life. Now what? Again, choosing not to bounce the Cauldron, because if they have another Flicker Wisp, they can Flicker the Cauldron and have a blocker back. I mean, they could just Flicker a Construct anyways, but if they do that, then I just bounce the Flicker Wisp and kill them, because I have another Construct left over, so that's not even good enough. Alright. They seem to be off it, as they say. Alright, mono white taxes. Tezzeret, not the best. So it's weird, because this is a matchup that typically plays the white hate cards like Stony Silence and things of that nature. However, they also have a like a mana denial attack with Thalia and Ghost Quarter and Lean and Arbiter and that kind of stuff. So I think against that angle of their deck, Tezzeret is pretty bad because it's just a 4 mana chunky spell. It's really hard to resolve through a Thalia and things of that nature. So I'm not huge on Tezzeret. It is good against Stony Silence, but it's not good against like Thalia plus Stony Silence is the reason. Gust is obviously bad. Dispute obviously bad. Ashiok doesn't really do anything. Nihil Spellbomb doesn't do anything. So these are the options that we're looking at. These 6 cards. I don't hate Fatal Push, and I don't hate Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is especially good against Cauldra, because they Stoneforge for the Cauldra, and then you just Thoughtseize it, never have to worry about it. That's like the one card that can sometimes get them out of it, like out of a tight spot, because it is hard for you to block. But Aether Spellbomb kind of changes the math on that. I'm not huge on Rebuke on the draw. I definitely don't want Rebuke on my deck, so that's going. I think I want all the draw spells. I like Bone Shards. Maybe just cut Rebuke for Fatal Push, call it a day. Just not worry about the Thoughtseize. Explosives can be good, but a lot of their important cards are 3 mana, like Archon of Emeria, Flicker Wisp, Skyclave Apparition, and it's really hard to get a third color on explosives. It's mostly you mostly want to bring this in when it's good on 0 or 1, and they have no zeros, and the only ones they usually play are like Aether Vial, Esper Sentinel, and that's it. So Needle is another option for the Stoneforge package, which maybe I do want over the 4th Street Wraith. So let's do that. See how this goes. Alright. On the draw for game 2. On the draw. What do we got? We have an Emery, 2 Emerys, a Fatal Push, an Asmo, and some lands. The sand is a little sketchy. Did they keep? They did. Sand is a little sketchy. Because we have no way to cheat Emery into play. But we do have Fatal Push, which is good interaction. I just think we have so many better 6s. I'm going to mulligan this. Okay. I can live with this. Put back the second Daredevil, because the second Daredevil doesn't do anything in your opening hand. Obviously, this hand needs to find lands, but we have Street Wraith, and we have a turn 2 Emery, so I think I'm okay with this. I'm gonna cycle first in case I draw Darkslick Shores, because then I might want to save the fetch. What land am I leading on? I need to get blue mana either way, so I can just get an island. Yeah. It's actually better to fetch non-basics because they have Ghost Quarter and Field of Ruin. So when in doubt, I'd rather fetch non-basics. Leave the basics in my deck for Ghost Quarter and Field. Like, they're not a Magus of the Moon deck. I'm pretty sure they're just mono white. Especially if they have Castle. If they have Castle, they shouldn't be a second color. Ah, alright. Well, that makes my Emery bad, so... That is a magic card. I have no way to remove that either. So... I mean, might as well just play the Emery. Just good if I draw a Mox. What did we mill? We milled the Needle and some other stuff. They have Sword of Fire and Ice. Okay. So maybe if we go to game 3, I'm going to want Explosives, which I don't think I brought in. I mean, we can kind of work around that. Urza kind of beats it. Saga beats it. So we have enough workarounds for that, but that is acceptable. Like here, I just like to draw a Mox. I only have 1 Mox in my deck, but... No Mox. Attack. Pass. Good chance they have like a removal spell for Urza. Thalia doesn't matter that much. So they played the sword. I guess they can go land, equip Thalia. Kind of want to make an extra food in response for Urza purposes. So let's discard Delta. I imagine they're just going to name Cookbook, because they don't want me to be able to draw Asmo, so they kind of have to name Cookbook. Oh, I guess they could just choose Asmo. Yeah, that makes sense too. Sure. Probably more reasonable. But now I can potentially activate Urza here, right? 1, 2, 3. No, I'm short. I am short, aren't I? Yeah. Because I can tap this, make a food, but I only have 4 mana. Alright, we'll just pass. We will pass. And they're down to 2 cards. They have a Solitude here for Urza. Things could get a little dicey. But if they don't kill Urza, we can start drawing cards off of Urza, so... Could also just draw Asmo, and... Well, that's not good, because they have this, but... Maybe if they have Rest in Peace, I'm more likely to want Tezzeret. If we do go to Game 3. And we're on the play. They still have Thalia, though, so it's really awkward. We'll focus on this game for now, and then see what ends up happening. Okay, annoying, but not much we can do about it. Alright, we don't know the other 2 cards in their hand. Maybe they have a land to put Yorion in their hand, which it looks like that's what they're doing. Another path would suck, but not much I can do about that. I wonder if I just have to try and race them with this construct token. Okay. Why would they do that instead of putting Yorion in their hand? Huh. I mean, I don't really need this land. Let's just discard it. Either Spell Bomb. So I can draw a card or I can bounce the Thalia. I'm going to cast it. I'm going to cast it and then attack with the construct, I think, and see what they do. And then if they choose to attack with Thalia, I can just bounce it. Perhaps could have made another food there. Put them to 8. Might have been better. I'm just going to pass. I also might just take this. Taking it's a little awkward, but... Yeah, they must have drawn a removal spell for the construct, but I think this is fine. I still like this line. They have to have drawn a removal spell for the construct here. Yeah, it's the only thing that makes sense. This is not great for us. Okay, it seems like we're going to lose a game to Taxes here. It's been a while since that's happened. They got on top a Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, I'm just going to go to Game 3. Game 3 on the play. I mean, this matchup is incredibly favorable, so I'm not too worried about it, but still don't like Rebuke. Obviously, Dispute and Gust are bad. Now that they've shown us Rest in Peace, do I want Thoughtseize, Tezzeret, or Explosives? I still don't want those cards. Yeah, these are still all bad, I think. I could trim an Emery against Rest in Peace. That makes a lot of sense. And I feel like on the play I don't need the Shadow Spear. And I think I'm just going to bring in Thoughtseize. Yeah, let's try this. I like this. I really don't want to bring in Tezzeret against the Thalia deck. Alright, game 3, all the marbles. Game 3, all the marbles. Daredevil, Monitor, Saga. So Saga's gonna have to do a lot of heavy lifting. I think I'm actually gonna keep this in. It looks bad, and it's not great, I will say. But Saga is one of your better cards against them. Just generating multiple things, and we have Thought Monitor. Maybe I should have mulliganed this hand. Like, it doesn't do anything per se, but it's not like their deck is that aggressive, so we should have time. Alright, I'm going to just Watery Grave first. Giver of Runes, that's fine. Alright, play Saga. Pass. Field of Ruin. Rexine Revoker. Probably going to name Asmo or Cookbook. Probably just Asmo, right? Maybe since they have the Giver, they're more likely to name Cookbook? Because I can't kill the Revoker with Asmo anyways. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I chose not to attack, which also seems reasonable. I'm just going to fetch main phase so I can't get disenchanted in response. I'll pass. Let's see what they got. But this is one of those games that we can maybe just get carried by Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor, providing us enough card advantage to fight through their hate that doesn't, because most of their hate's not good against those cards, right? So. And if they don't have a land, we get a second Saga token. We get to crack the Saga. I'll see what we get, but... Well, they probably have to crack this, so... They attack, I'm just going to take it. Because if I block, they can give it protection, colorless. So I will take it, that's fine. Alright, this is when they Field of Ruin me. Yep, that's fine. Just get a basic Swamp. Alright, got a 1/1. That was a really good draw. So let's cast that. It's possible I was supposed to get, yeah, non-basic there, because now I don't have any basics left. Maybe. I didn't want to take a bunch of damage, was the issue. So, that's kind of why I didn't want to get a Watery Grave there, but it is worse if they have Path. Maybe the damage didn't matter. Because, like, the damage usually only matters if they have Cauldra. That's their turn? I can live with that. I can live with that. So 2 Constructs, probably just slam a Thought Monitor. Yeah, I'm down with that. I guess I could... Maybe it's better to just play Emery plus Thoughtcast. Yeah, that's probably just better. Dig a little bit deeper. So Emery... I have 3 artifacts. So I can't play Thought Monitor. It's fine. Attack with both. They get to block bounce. Take 3, go to 15. So I took 2 damage for no reason because I thought I was going to play Monitor that turn, but ended up just being better to play just play Emery anyways. So took 2 damage for no reason. Probably fine. Might not be, but we'll see. Alright, so attack for 2, play Yorion. Alright, I'm at 9, that's fine. That I can live with. You have a bird. I assume they're going to name the cookbook again, right? Maybe they'll name Emery. They did. Cookbook, please? No, not a cookbook. Alright, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now these are 4 4s. Saga is a really good draw. So now I can go Spellbomb Monitor. Just not Spellbomb this turn. Just attack with 2 constructs. They get to block with Yorion, protect 1, take 6. And then I can just chump block with Thought Monitor. Yeah, I like that. Drew a Bauble too, why not? I'll take that. Not this. 2 7/7s. So they just bounce off of 1, probably take 7. Maybe chump block? No, they can't afford the chump block here, not with the Emery. Oh, we're dead if they have exactly Sword of Fire and Ice. Because I didn't leave up the Spell Bomb. Well, I hope they don't have Sword of Fire and Ice. I just realized that. What I should have done was just not play the other Thought Monitor. Because they can go Sword Equip the Yorion. Oh, that's only 8, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, never mind. It's only 8. We're good. Because they can equip the Yorion, give it Pro Blue, attack, deal me 2, which would be 4 from the Yorion, 2 from the Sword +2/+2, and 2 from the Sword 2 damage. But I'm at 9, it's only 8 damage, so. What did they draw? They drew another Evoker. That's... They can name Spellbomb, so that's not actually that bad. Alright, YouTube. Took a little bit of a pause there. We're back. We got Fracturing Gusted, so yeah, we're dead. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I guess I could... I'm trying to think if I actually want to play this game out. I could play Spellbomb. I can't bounce this because they have Giver, but yeah. Alright, we're dead. A little bit of an unfortunate way to go. They kind of tanked for a little bit and then cast the Fracturing Gust. I don't really know what they were tanking about. But, as is, you know, kind of, still think this deck is quite busted. I would highly recommend it. Unfortunate that we lost to a good matchup in Taxes. But, yeah, overall, deck felt incredibly powerful. The only thing I'm not sure about, the Mox Amber is kind of felt unnecessary. I don't know what I would play over it. Potentially another Thoughtcast, potentially another Rebuke. But it's just like, without... The blue-red version had Ragavan. So it had more Legends to turn on Mox Amber. So without Ragavan, I don't know if you're quite getting there on Legends to turn it on. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Deck felt very good. That's the second Tezzeret also might need to be something else. But overall, very, very great deck. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one.